Are you ready to hear what God has to say about your life and purpose right now? In this moment, the heavens are whispering truths about you that you can no longer afford to ignore. It is not by chance or coincidence that you find yourself where you are today. It is through divine timing and purpose that God has chosen to reveal something far greater about you than you ever imagined. These revelations are not fleeting, they are deeply rooted in His eternal plans for your life, intricately woven into the fabric of your existence. At this very moment, God is speaking to you, calling you to recognize the beautiful and powerful purpose He has set before you. In this season of your life, God is revealing His truth to you in ways that you may not fully understand yet. The path you've walked, the struggles you've faced, and the doubts you've carried were all part of His divine plan to mold you into the person you are meant to be. It is easy to get lost in the noise of the world, to focus on the opinions of others or the limitations that life may place upon you. But in this divine moment, God is calling you to rise above that noise and to recognize His voice, one that is louder, clearer, and more important than all else. God has seen you, chosen you, and set you apart for something incredible. You may feel as though you have been overlooked or cast aside at times, but in reality, God was working behind the scenes, preparing you for the elevation that is now unfolding before you. His timing is always perfect. It is not about your ability or what the world expects of you, it is about His will for your life. As it is written in Isaiah 55 verse 8-9, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Trust in His plan, even when you cannot fully comprehend it." The elevation you are experiencing is a direct result of your faithfulness in the shadows. Even when you doubted yourself, when you questioned your worth, God was refining you. Just as the potter shapes the clay, God was shaping you with His hands, preparing you for this very moment. You might not have understood the process while it was happening, but He has always been there, guiding you. Jeremiah 18 verse 4 says, "But the pot He was shaping from the clay was marred in His hands, so the potter formed it into another pot, shaping it as seemed best to Him." You may have been broken, stretched, or shaped in ways that felt uncomfortable, but God has been at work in you, and now you are emerging stronger, more resilient, and more capable than ever before. This is your moment to step into the fullness of what God has planned for you. You've been prepared for this, whether it's a new opportunity, a new relationship, or a new season of your life. As you stand in the light of this new revelation, remember that your purpose is not about proving anything to others. It is about fulfilling God's will and reflecting His glory. The people who once overlooked you or doubted your potential will now see the brilliance of what God has done in your life. You are no longer the person they once knew. You are a new creation, walking in the purpose that God has set before you. However, not everyone will understand your transformation. Some may even feel threatened or uncomfortable with the changes they see in you. In these moments, remember that it is not their understanding that matters. What matters is God's will for your life. As it says in Galatians 1 verse 10, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." Your purpose is not to please others, but to honor God in everything you do. When others criticize or question the transformation that is taking place in your life, remember that this is a sign that God is working through you. His light is shining brightly in your life, and that light will draw attention, both positive and negative. This moment of elevation comes with a responsibility. The higher God elevates you, the greater the responsibility to reflect His love and share His glory with others. This is not just about your success, it is about how you can use your success to point others toward Him. Your life is now a living testimony of God's grace and faithfulness. As Jesus said in Matthew 5 verse 16, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Your rise is not just a personal victory, it is a calling to help others see the greatness of God. Every blessing you receive is a tool to uplift others, to remind them that if God can do it for you, He can do it for them too. As you continue on this journey, remain humble and rooted in gratitude. It is easy to become distracted by success and to start thinking that all that has been achieved is because of your own efforts. But remember, it is all by God's grace that you have come this far. As it is written in 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Keep your heart focused on Him, knowing that every step forward is part of His divine plan for you. In this season of elevation, God is not only preparing you for great things, but also preparing others to witness your journey. Some will celebrate with you, finding inspiration in the story of your transformation. Others may struggle to understand, but do not let that deter you. Your story is not about seeking validation from others, it is about being faithful to the call God has placed on your life. As C.S. Lewis once wrote, "The great thing, if one can, is to stop regarding all the unpleasant things as interruptions of one's real life." The truth is, of course, that what one calls the interruptions are precisely one's real life, the life God is calling you to live. Your journey, including the struggles and challenges, is the very life that God has called you to live. There may be times when you question your worth or wonder if you are truly ready for the elevation you are experiencing. You might carry insecurities that make you feel unnoticed, unloved, or unworthy. But let me remind you that God's perspective of you is vastly different. He sees the inner strength you often overlook, the courage that lies within you, and the light that shines brighter than you realize. As 1 Samuel 16 verse 7 says, "The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." God sees your heart, your potential, and your worth. As you continue on this journey of elevation, know that it is not just for you. God has called you to be a beacon of hope for others, to be a reflection of His love and grace in this world. Your rise is not just a personal achievement, it is a calling to uplift others, to show them the way, and to point them to the source of your strength, God. Keep your heart aligned with His will, and remember that every step you take is part of His divine plan. Your journey is a testimony of God's greatness. Trust in His timing, embrace the responsibility that comes with your elevation, and use your success to serve others. As you shine, you help others see the beauty of God's grace, and you fulfill the purpose He has placed in your heart. Your story is not just about you, it is about everyone who will be touched by the light you reflect. Keep walking in faith, knowing that the best is yet to come. In the midst of your struggles, when you are surrounded by darkness and uncertainty, it can be easy to focus on your flaws, your mistakes, and the many ways you feel unworthy. Yet, even in these moments, God sees you differently. While the world may judge based on outward appearances or fleeting successes, God looks at your heart. He sees a soul crafted with purpose, intricately designed, and filled with boundless potential. You are not a mere afterthought to Him, but His masterpiece, formed in His image, destined for greatness. In the eyes of God, you are far more than the sum of your actions. You are the bearer of a divine purpose. As it is written in Psalm 139 verse 14, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well God doesn't see you as just another face in the crowd. He knows you intimately. He has numbered every hair on your head and understands your every thought. His love for you is not conditioned on your achievements or the approval of others, but is rooted in the very essence of who you are. His love is unchanging, constant, and unconditional. It is not bound by worldly standards, but by the eternal truth that you are His creation, made in His image. Even when your efforts feel insignificant or go unnoticed by those around you, God recognizes their profound impact. You may not realize it, but your acts of kindness, your quiet resilience, and your small gestures of love are seeds that inspire others. These acts, no matter how small, are not meaningless in His eyes. As C.S. Lewis wisely wrote, "There are no ordinary people. You have never met a mere mortal. Every encounter you have, every small choice to show compassion, is part of God's divine plan to touch the lives of others." Your perseverance through trials becomes a source of hope for those who are struggling, and your strength in adversity lights a path for others to follow. Think back to the times when someone smiled because of your kind words or found solace in your presence. These moments, though seemingly ordinary, are divine appointments orchestrated by God. You may not even be aware of how deeply your actions have impacted someone, but in those quiet moments, God is using you to uplift and inspire. What may seem like a routine moment in your life may be extraordinary to someone who desperately needed that touch of grace. The world may not always voice its gratitude, but God sees the quiet acts of love and compassion you offer, and they are not in vain. Jesus himself calls us to live in such a way that our actions reflect his love. In Matthew 5 verse 14 to 16, he tells us, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Your light shines through your actions, through your patience, your generosity, your encouragement, even when it seems like no one is watching. Though others may not express their gratitude, their silence does not lessen the impact you have made. You are planting seeds of change, and even if you do not see them grow, God does. He treasures every moment of service, for they are reflections of his love working through you. God's purpose for your life is woven into every action, every word, and every decision you make. The lives of those around you are touched because you have chosen to show up, to listen, to care. You may never hear their thanks, but you can trust that the fruit of your labor is evident in their lives. Just as in the parable of the mustard seed, what starts small and seemingly insignificant can grow into something that impacts the world in ways we can't always measure. What you consider ordinary may, in God's eyes, be extraordinary. Now is the time to pause and reflect on how God sees you. You are not defined by your mistakes or limited by your fears. You are a beacon of hope, a living testament of his unwavering love. You are stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more impactful than you know. God's perception of you is not just a reminder of your worth, but also a call to embrace it. He calls you to rise and step into the fullness of who you are in him. Remember, you are part of a divine narrative, where you are both the protagonist and the guide chosen by God for a greater purpose. As it says in Ephesians 2 verse 10, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Look at the lives you've touched and the ways you have grown. Every step you've taken, no matter how small, is part of the divine plan God has placed before you. Your life is not measured by the opinions of others, but by the purpose God has placed within you. Your journey, with all its highs and lows, is unfolding exactly as he intended, and you are exactly where you need to be. Even when the path feels unclear, remember that God is with you. His message to you is clear: "I know your heart and I see your faith." He has seen every sleepless night, every tear, and every prayer whispered in desperation. None of it has gone unnoticed. Though you may feel invisible at times, God sees everything. As C.S. Lewis so profoundly put it, you are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. God's plans for you are not confined to the past, they are alive and unfolding every day. What you may see as small, unimportant efforts are in fact the moments that are shaping your future. God's love is not passive, it is active, intentional, and unwavering. His love for you is what drives you forward, and his purpose for you is what will sustain you through every challenge. So even in the moments when you feel unnoticed, remember that God sees you. His love for you is not just a passive sentiment, but an active, transformative force in your life. You are his masterpiece, crafted with purpose, and your actions, no matter how small they seem, are making a profound impact on the world around you. Keep walking in faith, knowing that your life is part of a grand, divine narrative, and that every step, every decision, and every act of love is seen by God, treasured by him, and used for his glory. God's love is not just a passing affection, it's a profound and eternal connection that sees you for who you truly are, beyond your mistakes and shortcomings. While the world may often focus on your actions or status, God sees your heart, understanding the battles you fight in the seen and unseen realms. He knows the weight of your struggles, and He assures you that your labor is not in vain. His recognition of you is not fleeting or superficial, but rooted in eternity. As the Apostle Paul reminds us in 1 Corinthians 15 verse 58, "Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain." His love for you remains constant, and His promises are everlasting, filled with blessings that far exceed anything you can imagine. God is preparing something extraordinary for you, something far beyond your comprehension. You may have faced moments of disappointment, believing that doors were closed or opportunities lost, but God's intervention is at hand. The blessings He is arranging for you are not random or accidental. They are the direct result of your faith, your persistence, and His divine timing. You might have thought that certain opportunities were lost forever, but God is about to bring them back, better than you ever expected. This is not just about material gain, it's about divine restoration, whether it's physical healing, emotional peace, or spiritual revival. Psalm 37 verse 4 says, "Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." These blessings are being prepared in accordance with God's perfect plan for your life, a plan that is always on time, even when it doesn't match your schedule. Trusting in God's timing can be difficult, especially when His plan unfolds in ways that seem delayed or contrary to your desires. But God calls you to remain steadfast in your faith. The enemy will attempt to use fear as a weapon against you, whispering lies that you are unworthy, that you will fail, or that you should settle for less than what God has promised. But faith is your shield against these lies. As C.S. Lewis wrote, "Courage, dear heart. Faith is the courage to continue, even when the world whispers doubts. Your faith is not in your ability to see the future, but in God's ability to make all things work together for good." Romans 8 verse 28. Your worth does not come from external validation, but from God, who calls you His own. His love for you is unshakable and unconditional, and in your moments of weakness His power is made perfect. Even when fear tries to paralyze you, remember that every step of faith you take, no matter how small, draws you closer to the blessings He has prepared for you. Fear may try to hold you back, but faith will propel you forward. As it says in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, "But He said to me, My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me." It is in those moments of surrender that God's power works most mightily. Do not allow the delays to make you doubt His plan. Do not let the voices of others diminish your worth, and certainly do not let the trials you face cause you to forget that God is with you, guiding every step. This moment is a call to reaffirm your trust in God. His plans for you are unstoppable, His love for you unshakable, and His blessings unimaginable. There may be times when you feel unseen, when the world doesn't acknowledge the struggles you've endured, but rest in the assurance that God sees every tear, every prayer, every act of perseverance. He is preparing to elevate you, not only for your own benefit, but for the benefit of those around you. God works through you, and your journey serves as a testimony to His faithfulness. As you stand firm in your faith, you become a vessel for His love, a beacon of hope for those who are lost. The divine work in your life is not just about you, it's about those around you as well. Your trials and triumphs are part of a greater narrative that serves to uplift, inspire, and guide others toward God's light. You may not always see the impact of your life, but others are watching, and through your strength, your perseverance, and your faith, they are being encouraged to walk their own paths of faith. God has placed you in these moments for a reason. Your life is a reflection of His goodness, a witness to His miraculous work. Every challenge you face is a step toward your greater purpose, and every victory is a victory that will inspire those who come after you. Hold on, dear friend. Hold on to your hope, to your integrity, and to the belief that what God has promised will come to pass. Do not let fear rob you of the blessings He has in store. Trust in His timing, His perfect plan, and His unshakable love. Your journey is just beginning, and the best is yet to come. Your unwavering faith has become a living testimony of God's transformative power, even in the moments when you felt unseen, unnoticed, or unimportant. In those times of doubt and struggle, God was quietly working in you, planting seeds of strength, hope, and faith that would sprout and bear fruit in ways you may never fully understand. Just as Jesus taught in Matthew 17, verse 20, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Your actions, driven by that faith, have had an effect on those around you. Whether you realize it or not, there are people whose lives are being reshaped simply by watching your journey. They see your resilience, your perseverance through trials, and your unwavering trust in God's timing. And in doing so, they are reminded of the possibility of change, of restoration, and of a hope that was perhaps buried deep within them. God is using you in ways beyond your comprehension. The strength you display, especially when faced with life's challenges, sparks something within others, a hope they may have lost or a belief they thought was out of reach. As the Apostle Paul writes in Romans 5, verse 3-4, "Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope." Your journey is a beacon of God's faithfulness, reminding others that even in the darkest of times, He is there, bringing light where there once was none. Through your unwavering faith and trust, God is showing others that no situation is too hopeless, and no life too far gone for His redeeming grace. The ripples created by your journey extend far beyond your immediate circle. People who once dismissed you, who perhaps overlooked your potential or struggled to understand your faith, are now pausing to reevaluate their own lives. They are witnessing the fruit of your transformation, and it is compelling them to reflect on their own relationship with God. They are asking the same questions that you may have once asked: what is my purpose? How can I find strength like that? What would happen if I trusted God more deeply? These questions are not just personal to you, they are the seeds of spiritual awakening being planted in the hearts of those who are observing your walk of faith. And just as Jesus called His disciples to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world, Matthew 5, verse 13-16, your transformation is now a beacon of hope and inspiration for others. Your story is not just a personal testimony, it is a call to action for those around you to rise up in faith and experience God's transformative power for themselves. Your influence, however, is not limited to those who know you personally. It extends to strangers, acquaintances, and even future generations who will hear your story and be moved by it. God has placed you where you are, not just for your own blessing, but to be a guide for others, showing them the way to their own purpose. Proverbs 3, verse 5-6 reminds us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Your faith, your words, your actions, and even your silent witness have the power to lead others closer to God. Whether through a kind gesture, a moment of encouragement, or simply sharing your story, you are lighting the path for others to follow, showing them the way to their own breakthrough in faith. This responsibility to guide and inspire others can feel both humbling and empowering. It reminds us that our blessings are not just for personal gain or fulfillment, but are meant to be shared with others. Your life is not just about your own journey, it's about how God can use your experiences to reach others. He has entrusted you with this role because He knows you are capable of carrying it out, empowered by His Holy Spirit. Think back to the times when someone reached out to thank you for something you didn't even realize was significant. Maybe it was a comforting word, a prayer you offered in a moment of need, or simply your presence during a difficult time. These moments, however small they may seem to you, are not accidents. They are divine appointments orchestrated by God for His greater purpose. Perhaps a friend found their faith again because of your story, or a colleague began to pray after witnessing your strength and resilience. These transformations are not by your own doing, but through the work of God in and through you. As the Apostle Paul reminds us in 2 Corinthians 3 verse 5, not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our competence comes from God. Never underestimate the impact you are making. In moments when you feel weary or unimportant, remember that God is using you as a vessel to carry His love and truth to others. Your journey, with all its highs and lows, is a testament to His goodness, and it is a story that will inspire, transform, and lead others closer to Him. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Keep walking in His purpose, and trust that your faith, no matter how small, is part of a divine plan that is changing lives, not just yours, but the lives of everyone you encounter. Your life, even in its smallest moments, is a powerful testimony of God's transformative love. It is proof that God can take what is broken and make it whole, turning pain into purpose and struggles into strength. This is the message your life communicates to those around you. If God can do it for you, He can do it for them too. As C.S. Lewis writes in Mere Christianity, God is not only the creator of all things, but the redeemer of all things. Every hardship you faced and overcome becomes a reflection of His redemption. You may not fully understand the extent of the transformation you've inspired, but trust that it is happening. God is using you to touch lives in ways that will echo into eternity. Right now, God is presenting you with a crucial opportunity, one that could reshape your future. But with this opportunity comes a challenge. Not every open door is from God, and not every offer aligns with His purpose for your life. This is a moment that calls for discernment and trust. Will you wait for God's best, or will you be tempted by options that seem easier or more immediately gratifying? The choice may not be clear-cut. It could present itself as a subtle choice between two paths, one that aligns with God's purpose and another that requires compromise. The world often promotes shortcuts and easy fixes, but God's path is rarely the easiest. Remember the wisdom of Proverbs 3 verse 5 to 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Look beyond the surface. Does this opportunity bring peace, or does it stir anxiety? Does it honor God, or does it require you to compromise your values? In moments of doubt, pause and pray, seeking God's guidance. The decision may not come with flashing signs or clear instructions, but in stillness and prayer, God's truth will reveal itself. The choice to wait for God's perfect timing requires faith and patience, but the blessings that follow are unmatched. What seems like a sacrifice now will yield great rewards later. As Jesus assures us in Matthew 6 verse 33, but seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Your obedience may come with challenges, but it also brings peace that comes from knowing you are walking in God's will. The blessings you will receive are not only material but spiritual: greater faith, deeper joy, and a closer connection to God. This moment is a reminder that the opportunities God presents often require discernment, patience, and trust. The decisions you make now are not just for today, but for the legacy you will leave and the impact you will have on others. Choose wisely. Every step of faith you take brings you closer to the destiny God has prepared for you. As you face this decision, remember that God is with you. His voice will guide you, His love will sustain you, and His promises will never fail. Trust in His timing, and rest in the assurance that His plan for you is always greater than anything you could imagine. No matter how overwhelming the challenges in your life may seem, God's message to you is clear: I am with you, Isaiah 41 verse 10. He sees every battle you face, whether it's the heartbreaks, setbacks, or moments of doubt, and He assures you that you are never alone. Each trial you encounter is not a random event, but a part of a larger, divine plan that works for your good. Romans 8 verse 28. Even when the path feels uncertain or the weight feels unbearable, God is there, strengthening you with His presence. Think back to the times when you felt like giving up, yet somehow found the courage to move forward. That wasn't by your strength alone, it was God's grace carrying you through, as He promises in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." He is your refuge, your shield, and your ever-present help in times of trouble. Psalm 46 verse 1. God not only strengthens you in your struggles, but also calls you to reflect His love through your actions. The kindness you show, even in small moments, has the power to impact lives in ways you may never see. Every act of generosity, every word of encouragement, and every prayer you offer is a reflection of God's heart. These small acts of love are the foundation of a world transformed by grace. Remember that it is not the size of the gift that matters, but the spirit in which it is given. In Acts 20 verse 35, Jesus reminds us it is more blessed to give than to receive, even when you feel like you have little to offer. Your willingness to help others becomes a powerful testament to God's love, and He uses these moments to inspire those around you. Trust that as you continue to sow seeds of kindness, the harvest will be abundant not just in the lives of others, but in your own life as well. In times of struggle, it can be tempting to search for shortcuts or easier routes. But God's path, though not always easy, is always the right one. He calls you to trust Him, even when the way forward seems unclear. Staying true to His plan requires patience, faith, and a willingness to keep moving forward, even when progress feels slow. Remember, as Psalm 37 verse 23 to 24 assures us, the steps of a man are established by the Lord. When he delights in his way, though he fall, he shall not be cast headlong, for the Lord upholds his hand. Every delay, detour, or closed door serves a purpose. What might feel like a setback is often a setup for something greater. As you remain faithful, God is aligning the pieces of your life in ways you cannot yet see. Trust that His plan is perfect and His timing is flawless. Today, God's messages to you are clear: you are seen, you are loved, and you are chosen. Every trial you faced, every moment of uncertainty, has been a part of His divine plan to prepare you for what is to come. As C.S. Lewis wisely wrote in the Screwtape Letters, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. God has shown your face to the world, not to glorify you, but to magnify His power through you. The journey you are on is a testimony to His faithfulness, and the blessings He has in store for you are greater than you can imagine. Take a moment to reflect on His words and embrace the assurance that you are not forgotten. Your efforts have been seen, and your faith will be rewarded. Commit yourself to His path, knowing that the decisions you make today will shape the blessings of tomorrow. Walk humbly in your purpose, let your actions be a light for others, and trust in His timing. If this message resonates with you, affirm your faith today. Type Amen as a declaration that you trust in God's plan, that you are ready to claim the blessings He has for you, and that you will continue to walk boldly in His purpose. May God's love and light guide you in all you do. Let His presence be your strength, His promises be your hope, and His purpose be your direction. Your story is still unfolding,